Hey all, so catching up, this is War 11. We are up against TCN again with very large rosters. We were not in a great place last time we faced them, so definitely looking for some redemption here. Start out with Tigra versus Galan. This is very simple. There is nothing remotely fancy here. I am intentionally repeating attacks here to get the Rupture and Power Gain from Combat Deja Vu Prowess. It's going to get me to my Special 2 a little faster if he's not throwing heavies, but now we're done. Like, there is nothing else going on here. Boom. So AI wasn't really playing along. That fight could have been 3 heavies in a Special 2 and taken less than 20 seconds. But, I mean, come on. It was the perfect counter. Nothing going on there. Moving on to Ant-Man versus Kitty here. We do throw on a regen boost just because I'm expecting some block damage, because I know I can parry Kitty here, but I'm not necessarily going to be in the habit of doing so, both because of all the other times I've fought her, and because if she comes in and she does happen to phase, then the last thing I want to do is get used to my parries sticking, and then go, oops, this time she was stun immune, and now I have a problem. And there we have my favorite little bit about the AI, how certain champions with relatively high, and I'm talking like vertically high, medium animations, just seem to be able to win at intercepts. Very annoying. But we close it out, move on. Probably could have taken a little bit less block damage if I had allowed myself to parry, but I prefer to just not make that switch in my brain if I feel like I don't need to. Use a single potion, we have the regen boost running again, and we move on here. This one is definitely going to be annoying just because of aggression prowess. It's probably the single most annoying node this season. Just constantly making these defenders that much scarier. Storm is, of course, herself obnoxious for glancing the tactic itself a bunch, but Zayn is a really good counter here. Honestly, even if she somehow gets to an unblockable Special 2, well, we can probably rely on the Sig to save us, and we're trying not to do that because we are... We're trying not to do that because we're baiting the Special 1 aggressively. Note that the power detonation triggering causes power drain. That's going to remove her Ice Tempest, and so that is going to let us get around the glancing. That part is extremely helpful. We have the detonation back up. We're going to use the light attack to turn off our Special 3, throw this. If we had knocked her down first with a heavy, then that Special 2 would have done more damage. But that's not really something that I'm concerned about, because if I had done that, there's a very good chance, given all the prowess in this fight, that she would have just immediately woken up and thrown a special, and if it had been a Special 2 because I calculated incorrectly, then we potentially lose a lot of health, right? Whereas just throwing 2 Special 2s and not worrying about protection was that much safer of a fight. We move on to Mangog here on 23. Moderately popular placement. Obviously his usual home is on 54, but you definitely see people throwing him here from time to time, especially when they don't ban Spider-Man 2099. I'm assuming the general model for this is you get Spidey 2099 players who only ever hit into block, and so aren't comfortable with landing the actual hits. They get rooted, and then they, I don't know, die to a couple heavies. I can see in theory where the trap is, but in my opinion the reality is when you can reverse Mangog's power gain, he's very, very simple, and that's what you can do on this node, and so there's just not a whole lot going on. I do get rooted here for the first time, but we are still not at 10. We timed the root there perfectly with our counter, and we are now at full reversal. Reed is just perfect for this. You don't have to land many hits. You block an extremely predictable number of hits. You ramp quickly. If you do get hit, it just ramps you faster. I've taken this a dozen times. You don't even really have to worry about the root. If it triggers, it probably makes things easier for you. Very, very clean fight. I wouldn't mind sending Spider-Man 2099 to it either, I should say, but I think that Reed is just far and away the best counter to this particular placement because of how well he controls combat power as well as ability power, and for how he deals with the various specials and his evade and all of that. Moving right along to Tier 2, we have Magneto House of X here. Not going to use Zayn because he is metal and therefore things will turn off. But if we use Mr. Fantastic, then we're going to blunt the power gain from him having Prowess. If he does hit us, it's not going to hurt all that bad because of Reed's special weaknesses. And once we ramp, we'll be reversing the tactic. So, very strong counter here as well. He, of course, starts with the Prowess, so out of the gate we have power gain going on. I'm just assuming that at some point in this fight, I'm probably going to eat a special one. I will try to dex them, but... And see, I do have it there. And I know they're going to be unblockable. The unblockable is going to help our evade chance, but there, obviously, I just dex way too early for my distance. I do get clipped, but I also, because of all this prowess he has, it's actually helping us because it makes the armor break longer. So as long as we don't get hit again, that armor break is going to be more healing in this fight than it normally would. Then we nail the next dex. He already has his special one cut down to 25% of its usual damage. We're now reversing his power, and this fight is fully over. We finish at 96%. So yeah, really strong counter there. We move on to Joe Fixit on this next node. Definitely an annoying placement, potentially because you're probably going to end up blocking his special one. When you do, he's gonna gain a ton of prowess, and then the next one will be unblockable. But not a particularly dangerous placement this season, because so many characters have prowess removal, and so basically as long as you aren't dying to Joe's block penetration, there's not a ton of threat, right? And so I started early finishing with a medium, and that's making him hit harder through block, but now I'm going to try and avoid that and just really stick to my 4-hit combos, ending with lights. That's going to allow me to bait the heavies, but it's also going to keep Joe only on hearts. And so I don't have to worry about him hitting harder or getting any block penetration. You already don't want to parry on this node, which is actually a mark against Joe because it means you're probably not giving him any diamonds. But one way or the other, we finish it off here. Special 1, Special 2, good to go. He never actually throws a special attack. Moving on to Zemo over here on 53. Obviously a very solid placement because it is difficult to land poisons or incinerates and turn off the node, and if you do and you don't have control over them, then you are going to root yourself, and that is generally a very bad idea. But at the same time, it's Zemo, and so if you're not getting rooted, if you're not getting hit, and if you are controlling his power, there's not a whole lot going on here. I did mess up an intercept early. I probably should have just baited a few more, even assuming crits, because I needed to get Surging Swarm up. I took a risk, I got hit. But otherwise, we're just doing really solid damage here. We're going to assume no specials ever, right? We're also going to intentionally let him throw specials before power detonation expires each time, because we actually don't want it to turn into a disintegration passive, because that will be instantly cleansed. We just want to do our instant disintegrations, not take too much block damage, and get out of here. Now, somewhere close in here, I remember making a mistake out of habit. Not yet. We're still doing our backdrafts, and then once he's over a bar, there it is. I parried out of instinct. I'm not going to blame that one on the game. It wasn't intentional, but I know what I did. That was my muscle memory taking over for me. So that hurt. We got hit a little bit, but thankfully not too bad. Block damage is getting worse, but we're still winning the HP race even with those two big mistakes. You're seeing me block to dash a number of times. I'm basically playing him as though he were unblockable, blocking until the last second when I can, hoping he will heavy, There I actually do block a combo, but I'm kind of mixing those two on purpose, and it's working out really well for him, and we take him down. Last fight with Future Ant-Man, so don't really mind the health loss. There we go. We did end up winning this war. TCN did a little bit worse than last time, and we did much, much better. So, like I said, really happy with the trend the Alliance is following. Winning this one put us in really strong footing. We are now, I believe, 7-4 going into the last war, which locks Masters decisively and can land in top 10, depending on how the last war goes for other alliances and what docks there may or may not be. So, really happy with this war, and really happy with these characters. It's, yeah, Reed and Zayn are two of my favorite rank 5s, and I love getting to dust off Tigra, even though I don't use her all that much. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and keep an eye out for the final one this season, hopefully tomorrow. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and take care.